Like, I sent a picture of a boat to my governor to try to explain this to her. And I said, if you had a boat and you kept it in the water and you just washed above the water line and your boat looked beautiful and pristine, at the end of the season, when you lift your boat out of the water, it's covered in barnacles. The same is true in your mouth. So this super gingival scaling actually isn't benefiting anybody. You could hop in somebody's chair, they could lickety-split, clean your teeth, hand you the brush and the floss and be like, don't forget the floss, and send you out the door. Or they can come into your chair, have a proper assessment. Your care is dictated by what you see happening. You communicate that to the patient throughout, making the links to their whole body, making those links to our health. And that's truly when I believe that we are stepping into our place as a dental hygienist.
A tale of two hygienists.
And welcome back, listeners, to another episode of A Tale of Two Hygienists podcast, episode 540. I am your co-host, David Torres, and I'm here with my amazing, I'm just going to call you co-star at this point. Co-star, co-host, co-host, everything. Jess, in this amazing season of graduation in May, I want to be able to tell you a little bit of, it reminds me, I'm very reminiscent about the days where I graduated, which was back in 2012.
Are you old man?
Which, yeah, it seems like a long time ago, but in my mind, I still wake up in nightmares about like meeting my requirements, and I'm like, did I do my FMXs? Did I do this? But
You're not
you know
alone.
what? I just want to congratulate our listeners who have made it thus far and are in the season of graduation. Give yourselves an amazing applause. But we are all embarking into the licensing stage of our journey. Can you believe that back in my day, I graduated in April 26th, which is the day of my birth. And
Happy birthday.
thank you. I got licensed all the way to October. So if anybody's listening to this and it took them a while to get licensed because they had to pass one board, or maybe you're in Florida and you had to wait like way too long to get your results, you'll get there. You are going to do fantastic, and we wish you the best of luck as you start your career. And in this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about licensures, a little bit about our purpose, our identity. And Jess, let's talk about our guests. Tell us about our amazing guest today.
Well, listen, this is Miss Amanda Hill. She is a dental hygienist, speaker, consultant, award-winning author, and podcast host in and of herself. She is also a friend, and I am so grateful that she is on the podcast today with us to talk about licensure, because she is in a position to give us a unique perspective on the importance of licensure, not only because she's been a registered dental hygienist for how many years now?
30 years. I graduated last century. You called Dave old. I'm just saying.
I can only say that Dave was old.
Then what does that make me?
Listen, I only say that
graduated before we had like the internet.
I only say Dave was old is because I graduated before Dave. So I am even older. I'm even older than Dave. So that was more of like a play against myself instead of Dave. But Amanda comes to us with a few years of clinical background, but also she has authored more than 100 articles for publications, including today's like RDH Magazine, Dentistry IQ, Infection Control Today, and dentalcare.com. I mean, your influence is deep and wide, Amanda, and I feel grateful that I got to be caught up in the glow of Amanda Hill. And something about Amanda is when she moves to the next life, she has requested that we all celebrate on the day of her graduation by gonging a gong. And she's got a cute little one right here for those of you. Beautiful.
Big shout out to Emily Bogey. She got me my gong.
And because I think we shouldn't wait until we graduate to recognize our good deeds or recognize all of the requirements that you did, in fact, Dave, complete. on our way to competence, right? So on that day of ringing that gong, I am grateful that I have known you and so happy to have you on the podcast today to talk about licensure. So I want to ask Amanda, why does living in Virginia mean that you have a unique perspective on licensure for the profession of dental hygiene?
Well, first off, thank you for that lovely intro. And Jess, I feel strongly about you too. I'll never forget like the time we first met in person, and I was like fangirling you, and you were
And I was
fangirling
like,
me, and it was
yes.
really weird, but it was so
It was.
great all at the same time. So, and Dave, wonderful to meet you and get to know you. But okay, so yeah, so I've been doing this for a hot minute. Graduated an entire century ago. But most recently in the lovely state of Virginia, where I reside, and went to hygiene school, by the way. So any ODU grads.
Woo
Go
woo.
Monarchs out there.
Which is like a highlighted program.
Oh,
ODU
it's good
across,
stuff, man.
yeah. I like when
Yeah.
you hear ODU, first of all, you think of an explorer, and second of all, you think of the quality of education.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the amount of research that comes out of ODU. And then, of course, we all know, the ODU 11,
11,
12
12.
Explorer. I mean, like, who doesn't know that, right? That's what you think of. So, but most recently in my my lovely state, they have done something that gives me pause. Jessica, gives me pause. They have passed two pieces of legislation most recently. One is for an oral preventative assistant. That's not exactly what they're calling it, but the OPA, that supragingival scaling after 120 hours of on-the-job training. Please note, also in the state of Virginia, we dental assistants need no training to be a dental assistant. So Burger King Monday, dental assistant Tuesday, bloodborne pathogens, no big deal. I mean, my daughter needed more training to become a barista and pour coffee than a dental assistant in my state, right? So we have an on-the-job trained dental assistant, and no shade to them. I've known many across my career who are phenomenal.
I don't think the conversation here is about ability
No.
or potential. I think the
Right.
conversation here is about accountability.
Yes. So you have this 120 hours of training, and then now they can provide supragingival scaling on technically healthy patients. If you add up 120 hours, that would be 3 weeks. It sounds long. It's not long. It's it's not 120 credit hours. It's just 120 hours. And that's self-reported. It's kind of like, have any of you guys? Well, you guys probably haven't like taught anybody to drive, but like back in the like all three of my kids, as I've taught them to drive, you have to fill out this form that you've done so much time behind the wheel with them, and really you just fill out the form and you fake it, right? I can only imagine what this form will be like. And then the second piece of legislation that Virginia has passed is for foreign trained dentists to then be able to become dental hygienists. The pathway to that has not quite been defined. It needs to be defined by our board of dentistry. And so I'm hopeful that will remain, that they must then pass a board like hygienists pass prior to gaining that licensure, I hope. But I think we all know that education across the world within dentistry isn't the same. And so
I mean,
there needs to be some sort
CODA
of
goes to great
guardrails.
lengths here in the state in the States to make our programs at least semi consistent. And when I say at least semi consistent, that's facetious here, because CODA is very very deep and long. And if you say you're up for accreditation, educators start to
Yes.
shake in
Right.
there, because there is so much
And we
documentation.
do thoughts and prayers
Yes,
immediately. Yes.
exactly. So much documentation, so many requirements, so much to show accountability and competency.
Yes. So so those are the two pieces that have come out in our state, and they have indeed passed, and will go into effect July 1st. Now, again, they haven't worked out the path to licensure for the foreign trained dentist yet, so I don't think that won't begin on July 1st. The board needs to figure out what that looks like. But I'm under the impression that the scaling assistant is what they're calling it will indeed July 1. We can have that in And I gotta tell you, I have a lot of feelings about it, and I don't understand. I understand that people are having trouble hiring hygienists, and so they have passed this under this guise of access to care. However, it's to me, it's called babysitting disease. I think we all know this, right? I mean, like if like I sent a picture of a boat to my governor to try to explain this to her, and I said, if you had a boat
Mm.
and you kept it in the water and you just washed above the water line and your boat
Mm.
looked beautiful and pristine. At the end of the season, when you lift your boat out of the water, it's covered in barnacles. The same is true in your mouth. So this super gingival scaling actually isn't benefiting anybody.
And what I'm hearing is that this assistant will not be a
Yeah.
licensed individual.
This assistant will not indeed be any
They will
kind of
not have
licensure.
their
No,
own licensure. So I would
no.
like to really
Yeah.
sink our teeth into this facade of access to care because we are providing access to what kind of care?
Right.
Yeah.
We are providing access to a group of unlicensed individuals
Mhm.
where licensure is fundamentally about patient protection
Yeah.
rather than professional status.
Yes. I love that. Yes. Yes, and so, I truly believe in my license, there's a lot that comes with being licensed, right, Jess? You know, we have to take CE courses. I mean, because we know that the standard of care changes, right? And so you don't know changes in standard of care if you're not continually educating yourself, right?
And sometimes we get into habits that aren't evidence-based. Just
Right.
this last month, I got corrected on AAP classifications to which I've been teaching for years, and I was like, "Oh, I need to make a change. I need to update my information."
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, I like to propose this. I mean, we're talking about access to care and how this guy passed, and obviously different states, different things. By the way, I love that boat analogy. I'm in Florida, and I will be using it with my
Good.
patients.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It's so
Um,
true, right?
well, absolutely. From a patient's point of view, you're sitting in the chair, and I wear scrubs. Most of us do, and in my scrubs is my name and my CRDH, right? Certified Registered Dental Hygienist. When they read that, when they see that, I have to believe that a patient looks at that title and automatically assumes that I've gone to school, that I'm licensed, that I'm educated, that I have experience, that I know best, that I am the dental professional.
They trust you.
Right. It's hard for me to believe in a world where a patient looks at an assistant or anybody else and not have those letters to their name there's it's gonna be like how do I access, like, what do I do? Am I assuming that I'm not getting quality of care? Am I assuming that I'm just getting bare minimum? Because do you know, and I think we all know this, we all go through this as hygienists every single day, why we have to do quote unquote deep cleanings or non-surgical periodontal treatments or SRPs. By the way, in dentistry, we have like 20 names for the same thing. I don't know why we
I
do this,
know.
but
I
we'll
know,
do this,
right?
right?
Yeah.
We can't get on the same
Um,
page.
yeah. And so why is it that I have to explain to a patient the bow analogy, right? I can do a cleaning, but it's not the one that you need because obviously you have an infection, you have a disease, and I am treating the disease. And for us to have quote unquote access to care and then us having assistance quite effectively not treating the disease, right? Because
Right.
the patient is getting a cleaning, and in Florida, I can only speak for Florida, guys. So I'm obviously stating the fact that I'm in Florida, but we have dentists in every corner, so we do have access to care. But even then, we have a lot of incentives where they're like 99 special, come get your extras
Uh-huh.
in a cleaning,
Mhm.
79 special. I've seen it as low as $49, right?
Wow.
So then how do we compete with that when a patient goes to the dentist and they say, I don't want to be taken care of. I want to go for my cleaning and I just so happen to have an exam and x-rays, right? And
Right.
so what is the patient's perception, or how do we acknowledge the fact that yes, we have a problem, we have a solution. Dare I say it's not the best of solution, but then how do we use that to understand what our responsibility is as licensed and registered and certified dental hygienists that we are, and why we're different, and how do we explain that to people that don't know?
I think you said a lot of things in there, Dave, and I think
I'm
to
very
start with the
passionate, as you can
first thing,
tell.
yeah. So start with the first thing is I don't know that patients even understand the difference between the dental hygienist and the dental assistant and the person that answers the phone. And so I think that it is our job to educate our patients about who we are and what our role is and what our expertise is. And I got to tell you, I am spreading the word in my state. Like I was at a cocktail party last night for just my neighborhood, and I'm telling everyone in my neighborhood about what has passed and said, listen, you need to ask that person that you're seeing and say that no, you indeed want to see an educated, a CODA accredited, educated dental hygienist. And so I think that that's step one.
And may I see your license and registration,
Yes,
please?
exactly. Yes. Excuse me. I'm going to pull you over and ask for that. Yeah. And so I think that that's the first key. I think that it's some of this is on us as a profession, is to help people understand how freaking smart we are. Because I got to tell you, like Hollywood has done us no favors. I mean, because if somebody is going to pick a career for the person that the star of the movie or the TV show is having an affair with, it's always a dental hygienist. Like, what is that? Right? Why is that?
I'd like to write a letter to someone.
Right? I'd like to. I get a little frustrated. And so I think that we need to, as a profession, really work hard in owning our space in the preventative expertise, which comes with responsibility
Yes.
with that licensure. And so it comes with doing all the stuff we learned in school that, you graduate and, so if there's new grads listening to this, don't stop doing all the things that you learned how to do. And I think we are often pressured for that $49 cleaning. How on earth in that 49, I bet that appointment's 30 minutes long, and did an assessment occur in that cleaning? And I think too often that assessment gets pushed out of the way and we jump, the ADPI, right? Assess, diagnose, implement, right? We jump just straight to implementation. Patients in the chair, bums in the chair. I got to implement because I only have so much time and I'm rushing. And that's when we're doing bloody prophies. And that's when the public and maybe, and certainly the people that pushed this bill through in Virginia doesn't understand
even our professional counterparts.
Yeah, right. And it was interesting because I literally had a conversation with a dentist. I mentioned about what was going on in Virginia. He was a speaker on a podcast or on a webinar I was moderating. I mentioned this about Virginia. He's like, well, there's a shortage and we got to do what we got to do. And I was like, okay, riddle me this, Batman. Like, how does this actually benefit patients? And he's like, oh yeah, I didn't really think about it.
Huh.
And I was like,
Uh-huh.
see? So it's our job as hygienists to make sure that we are doing all of the things that we're supposed to be doing and not simply managing to get our patient done in 20 minutes.
And then reading a magazine or scrolling on our phone.
And then reading a magazine and putting on our phone. And so, I mean, I'm not trying to point fingers, but just like in anything in the world, there are some people that, I would prefer to be in their chair and some people that perhaps I would not want to be in their chair. The same with mechanics, or the same with hairdressers, or the same with,
people be people in everywhere.
People be people in everywhere. So yeah, so I'm not there to throw shade, but darn it all, we are licensed and we need to fulfill that license by actually properly doing our job.
So for those who are like going through this, because there's stages of change, right? So what I'm hearing is that there's a big difference between being trained to do something and being licensed to do it. How do you advise us to explain this to people outside of dentistry?
I think we could go back to the driving analogy.
Yeah.
For example, like what if you are not a licensed individual and you get in a wreck and you maybe don't have registration or insurance and you get in a wreck? Whose responsibility is it now all of a sudden to pay for or provide the restitution for that? It would be the person who does have the license or the insurance or I'm trying to find a good parallel that might not be the best parallel, but it's a parallel that I'm
Yeah.
drawing because Dave had a situation earlier today. But, like, I think you think about the responsibility that comes with licensure is that accountability piece, and when people are doing something without accountability, they, or showing that what they're doing is up to a level of competency. Maybe
Right.
that's what I wanna go here is, like, maybe you did learn how to drive on a farm, which is gonna be different than driving on a freeway in a big city. And the license shows that you have been passed to competency to manage a situation that will preserve the safety of yourself and others, and
Yeah.
that license and registration help me make some more parallels here, guys. This is kind of the direction my brain's going in, but
Yeah, and that
mm,
you're responsible for. You're held accountable to the board for that, right? Like, we do practice, and we practice dentistry each and every single day, and we do our very best. And there's always in the back of our mind, we got to protect our license, right? So not only do we do no harm, but we also do things according to our scope to be able to quote unquote protect our license and do things by the standard of care. It is what holds us accountable for our own actions, right? It is why we take BPs. It is why we go over the medical history. It is because we are licensed and we are held accountable if something were to go wrong. What do you guys think about that? Because I feel like that's every time I administer anesthetic, every time I see a case, every time I go beyond what it is essentially the basic, right? Or the typical everyday stuff. Every time I do something like that, I always have in my mind, I was trained, I was licensed, I had to pass 4 boards, I had to wait like 900 months for me to be able to get my license, and there it is. This is why you come to me on top of my experience, right? Of my decades of experience.
because I will treat you in a way that is respectful of my education and the responsibility that the public has given me as evidenced by my license.
And I also think that we're given because we're licensed, that means we're given parameters in which we're supposed to, things we're supposed to do, ways we're supposed to practice. Again, CE we're supposed to take, and things like that. I think there's something to be said for that. That there's a governing body that sort of dictates what is that standard of care.
Because I think
Um,
there are things that our license protects, these invisible parts of clinical practice that our license is demonstrating or protecting, and I think that is our ethics, our our ability to catch pathology, our referral judgment, our infection control, documentation, legal accountability, all of these things that our license is protecting or personifying
And that's
that
precisely what the patients don't see. They don't
yeah, right.
know all
they
these
don't know
invisible
this,
things that we
right?
have to do, our pathology recognition, our oral cancer screening, all of these things that we do that patients have no idea. I mean, I've been called dental technician in the past, right? Or the guy
Yeah,
that does my cleaning, right? But it's
yeah.
beyond that. It's not until I actually provide the services and do those things that the patients actually change. They're like, "Oh, so you know what you're doing." I'm like, "Uh-huh." Like, absolutely.
What do you know?
what I'm hearing you say, Dave, is maybe putting words to what we're doing instead of, as Amanda, you said, the bums in the chair go straight to implementation.
Yeah.
Instead, come back. I'm going to review your medical history. I'm going to be looking for things that could potentially cause contraindications to what we're doing today and give me a better idea of how to curtail my education to best meet your health goals and needs. What is your and bringing the patient into that conversation saying, "What is your goal for today? I'm here to provide my expertise. These are the things we're going to be doing in order for me to give you the best care."
Absolutely. As a dental hygienist, practicing has become very interesting because it has been my experience where automatically you get compared to, just like going to different doctors, right? For second, thirds, and fourth opinions, right? You automatically get compared about what you know, who you know, what equipment do you have, the technology that you use, all of those things. And I think it is our responsibility as licensed dental hygienists to 100% give ourselves the importance to educate the patient both on their condition, their assessments, but also on who we are as professionals. And quite frankly, motivate each other to do the same, right?
Yeah.
We are all in the same circle in dentistry and dental hygiene where we all advocate for each other. I absolutely, every time I see somebody outside of practicing, I ask them and pick their brain to see if I'm missing anything or what tricks are they doing or which instruments that they're using to see if it helps me level up my skills. But sometimes it feels like a patient doesn't do that. It feels like a patient who says, I want to go get a second or third opinion, or oftentimes whatever's cheaper doesn't necessarily mean what's better. So you can get your quote unquote free cleaning or your cleaning that the insurance covers and all that stuff, but it doesn't mean that you're actually getting that care
Right.
that there I said you have access to.
Right. Right. And it's one of those things. In fact, I just wrote an article. It's not published yet, so just wait a minute. It'll come out to
Ooh,
probably an RDH
tune in.
magazine or a Dentistry IQ or one of those
To
Endeavor
your
sources.
to your dental
Yes.
information near
Yes.
you.
To your email
Give
inbox
us a preview.
soon. But what I was drawing a parallel to was I get a massage every month. Okay, I get a massage every month because dental hygiene, right? Right. And
Mhm.
for years, I went to this same massage therapist. She was great. I really liked her. I mean, I like her. She's wonderful. I know about her kids. In fact, her son is graduating from college this weekend. Like I texted her, happy graduation, that kind of thing. But every massage that I got from her was pretty much the same. Like she had a routine, right? She started on my shoulders, she went around, like, kind of like, I start in the, I start on number 2 and, finish.
Mhm.
Then the spa hired a new hygienist or a new massage therapist.
But here's the parallel.
Yeah, and she first, asked kind of similar questions that the first massage therapist asked, you have any spots, whatever. But my experience as her client was completely different than how it was with the first massage therapist. It was she paused in spaces. She spent more time in certain areas. She talked to me about what she was feeling. And then she was like, okay, I really want you to do, at home, I want you to roll around on a, tennis ball because you get this knot under your left scapula. Hello, mirror hand. And all of that. And so I felt like it wasn't just this like massage that I always get, where it felt good. The first one felt good, great. But this was a therapeutic appointment, right? It was
Mhm.
different. She listened to my body and responded to my body. And I feel
And
like
verbalized what
and
she
verbalized and
was
told me. And
happening. Mhm.
yes, and I left with like specific home instructions, home exercises. And we can draw this parallel so closely to dental hygiene. You could hop in somebody's chair, they could lickety split, clean your teeth, hand you the brush and the floss and be like, don't forget the floss, and send you out the door. Or they can come into your chair, have a proper assessment. Your care is dictated by what you see happening. You communicate that to the patient throughout, making the links to their whole body, making those links to our health. And that's truly when I believe that we are stepping into our place as a dental hygienist, as a licensed dental hygienist. This is what we know how to do. This is what we've been trained how to do. And not to say that the first massage therapist was bad, but I got to tell you, I want to see the second massage therapist more because I get
Mhm.
more out of it. And so I think I want to encourage all the listeners, all the hygienists out there, as we provide care, and there's so many things that come into affecting, like, oh, I only get so much time, or oh, I only have these instruments, or and I understand this, right? This is not a perfect happy world. There's so much that goes into that. But I want us to always question, is this the care I would want? Or is this the care that I want my mom to get, or my nana to get, or my kid to get? Like, is this the care that and I think the more we do that and the more that we explain to patients and we build the value and we help them understand why all this matters, that's when we're really gonna be able to not only remain licensed, fight this kind of these legislations that are coming in.
Suboptimal care.
Yeah, but then really be able to own what we do. But I need everybody to do it.
I think this is a good place to wrap up, is a clarion call to all dental hygienists, all licensed, registered, certified dental hygienists to level up, to practice what is on your plaque. It says you are licensed, and that can look to your patients in a way that is helping them get optimal care and moving towards health instead of getting access to continued disease. So,
Yeah.
Amen, Amanda.
Thank you.
Amanda, thank you so much. I mean, honestly, what you do each and every single day, and I'm so thankful for this platform because the listeners are not only enjoying our topics of conversations, of course, but also seeing it from a different light. Because I got to tell you, like, the fact that all hygienists, even though across state lines, are all going through something similar in their own way. And one of the most important thing is just motivating each other. And thank you for being such an amazing advocate. The hygienists that have been doing this for a long time, the ones that are recently graduating, it affects all of us. And I've never met a hygienist who doesn't want to do the best thing for the patient. And our patients deserve that and need that. So thank you for what you do.
Well,
Sounds
thank you
like a
guys.
gong. That sounds like time for.
There you go.
That's a wrap on today's episode of A Tale of Two Hygienists podcast. If this conversation made you feel seen, inspired, or even just a little fired up, share it with a fellow hygienist or fellow dental professional. Share it with your neighbors, your friends. Share it with everyone. That is how this community grows.
Make sure you subscribe, leave us a review, and connect with us on social media so that we can keep on going with this conversation. Remember, your career, your voice, and your story matter here. We're David
and Jessica.
And until next time,
keep learning, keep laughing, and keep showing up for yourself and for each other.
This has been a production of Endeavor Business Media, a division of Endeavor B2B.